As my colleague from North Carolina, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to all on the panel. This is a extremely eye-opening hearing, and I'm very grateful for all of your expertise and what you're sharing. Mr. Wishing, I'm concerned that federal policies over the past several decades have really helped to drive up college costs, and I think you can tell by the questioning that in your testimony, many were captivated as you discussed the concept of unfunded discounting, where college offers scholarships to a student based on an artificially high fake price. And the scholarship makes it seem like the student's getting a huge discount, but really it's a discount off a number much higher than it needed to be. So how does the federal loan system perpetuate the idea of unfunded discounting?
Well, I may not be the best person to answer that because we don't take federal loans, but from my competitive perspective, what I see is, money is fungible. So if you think about a school that may get, let's even like Pell Grants, sir. If a school gets $5 million a year worth of Pell Grants, that's worth $100 million in an endowment coming out of Washington, D.C. So that's, like, we have to compete against that. So Grove City would have to have $100 million of its endowment just to compete with the Pell Grant stream. So anyway, it puts a lot of money into the system that can kind of slosh around, be used to award for this, award for that. But it gives a base of funding to schools. If that were taken away, boom, I think you'd see a lot more pencil sharpening at schools. I think they'd offer a better value. I hope that's a good answer. But we don't participate in any of that, so I may not be the best person to answer.
Well, but I think you offer a great perspective from the outside looking in at how that system could perpetuate the whole idea. In fact, I'll follow up that with a question as well for you. What type of student benefits from the unfunded discounting system, and what type of student is taken advantage of in that?
Well, as I said earlier, I think the student that benefits is the high-achieving student. That student unwittingly is, in the unfunded discounting scheme, is getting a scholarship being funded most likely by a classmate, maybe his or her roommate. And the loser in this is the roommate that may be a B student, and she doesn't know that she's paying for her maybe $10,000 a year, $15,000 a year for her roommate's scholarship. She may be borrowing that money, racking up $40, $50, or $1,000 or more in debt and graduating with that, and then having to spend the next 10, 15, 20 years paying off her roommate's scholarship that she unwittingly paid for. And sadly, the big winners in all of this, not just the high-achieving student, but the institution. Students are funding institutional scholarship programs. They're the big winners.
Well, in the Working Families Tax Cut bill that was just signed into law by President Trump, Republicans set limits on the amount that students can borrow. How would you think loan limits play a role in reducing college costs? Well,
I do think that would help. I think it would. The way that it would help, it would force the consumer to think more about the value of what the parents are paying for, the students are paying for. I think it would force more thinking about the value of what they're doing.
Okay. I will ask you something else in your testimony, Mr. Wishing. You noted the challenging the industry is difficult when it comes to reforms that would benefit students and families. And you also indicate that the interest groups representing colleges and universities play a significant role in perpetuating the current dysfunctional pricing system. I'd really love for you just to take a moment in the last 20 seconds to discuss these challenges, including the opposition you face from the industry when pushing reforms that would improve transparency in college shopping.
I do think associations could help some of the associations that schools belong to require a transparency or a sign off on an ethical statement to be transparent with students about such things. I've challenged one organization about that. I encouraged them, well, I won't go too deep into that, but it was a pretty lengthy back and forth process. And in the end, the board of that organization said they really couldn't change because it would be detrimental to their the recruitment philosophies and detrimental to their enrollment efforts of their members.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you so